Okay, so in this one, they're telling us that angle B is 6 degrees. So this angle right here is 6 degrees. There's no way it looks like, it's not, it's more than 90. But anyway, whatever. This picture is not reflective of reality. In other words, that angle is no way 6 degrees. It looks like it's got to be more than 90. But anyway, whatever. It's more than a right angle. But again, whatever. Angle B is 6 degrees, they're telling us. What's the measure of angle? Again, this is a parallelogram. Opposite sides are parallel, right? The top and the bottom lines are parallel. The left and the right lines are parallel, parallelogram. So what's the measure of angle A? What is this angle? Now we know that the one across from it, the opposite has got to be the same. Opposite angles are always the same in a parallelogram. In fact, let's go look at the notes and what it says again about a parallelogram. So here's a parallelogram from the exam one notes. Opposite angles are equal. We got that. But now we want to think about consecutive angles. And what does it say? They add up to equal 180, kind of like a triangle. What do they mean by consecutive? They mean angles that are next to each other. See how these two angles here are next to each other? They add to equal 180. And these two that are next to each other, they add to equal 180. And these two that are next to each other, they add to equal 180. And these two that are next to each other, they add to equal 180, don't they? So angles next to each other add up to be 180 degrees. They're called consecutive. Consecutive just means in a row, like of a football team, it's the day after the Super Bowl, and the Chiefs tried to win consecutive Super Bowls in a row. It just means in a row, right? So so in a row. So angles that are in a row that are same row right next to each other, angles right next to each other always add up to be 180 degrees. Now, I want you to feel that, not just, okay, I see it, Mr. Heron, it's written on the paper. Well, actually, let's go back and do the problem first off. So that means in a parallelogram, angles next to each other add to equal 180. Okay, so that means that this angle and this angle, these two, which are next to each other, add to equal 180, don't they? Because A and B are next to each other. They're consecutive is the word. They're next to each other. They add up to be 180. So that means, oh, okay. So angle B, I'll just call it B. Well, let's just make this easy. If they add up to be 180, then I can find angle A. It's just going to be 180 minus B. So it's going to be, what's that, 174, done. 174, that easy, right? Because they have to add up to equal 180. Those two, this angle and this angle, since they're next to each other, angles that are next to each other in a parallelogram, add up to equal 180 degrees. So if you've got one of them, we've got one of them, 6 degrees, just subtract from 180 to find the other one. Because 180 is the total of both of them. Take the total, 180 minus the first one, you got the other one, 174. It's that easy. Now, I want to give you a little bit of the why. I want you to feel it because we're going to have so many formulas. And of course, you can use your notes on the exams, but it'll be helpful. The more you can kind of feel these things in your gut, in your bones, it'll just make life easier for you in geometry. And geometry is kind of nice that way you can see it. So it all comes, excuse me, it all comes from a rectangle. Let me show you. So what if we have like a rectangle? Okay. And then in a rectangle, you know that in a rectangle, these angles are all 90, aren't they? They're all right angles. Now, if you take a rectangle and you shift it, let me do that here. And let's see. There we go. All right, it's not bad. Those tools help. Okay, so there's a parallelogram. Shift when you make it into a parallelogram, right? So you take a rectangle and you shift it to become a parallelogram. So I want you to see a parallelogram as just a shifted rectangle, like if it's made out of Jello or something, you could shift it, right? Well, what would happen to the angles? Can you feel it? These are both 90. All these are 90 to begin with in a rectangle, right? And if you shift it, what's going to happen? Well, this angle right here is less than 90 now, right? 90 would have been right here. It's less than 90. You tracking with me? This would have been 90. This one's less than 90 now. Like maybe, I don't know, maybe it's 70 or something. I'm just making up a number. I don't know. And then this one now has gotten bigger than 90, hasn't it? It's more than 90, but by the same amount. So if this has gone 20 below 90, well, then this will go 20 above 90. This would be like 110, for example. The point is they would still have the same total 180. And the same thing up here, right? This one is now smaller than 90. It'd be like the 70. This one is bigger than 90. It'd be the 110 because the diagonals opposite are always equal. Do you see that that's the kind of thing that's going to happen when you shift a rectangle to make it into a parallelogram? Can you feel that, right? They were originally, see how originally right here, these two add to 180 because they were both 90. Of course, they add to 180. Well, the same total is still going to be there. They add to 180, don't they? Because one got bigger the same amount, the other got smaller, right? This angle shrunk by 20. This grew by 20 when we did the shift, right? When I took this side, which was straight up, and I pushed it down, this angle got smaller. And likewise, this side was pushed out by the same amount. So this angle got bigger by that same amount. So my point is it's the same total. If it was 90, 90, 180 before, whoops, sorry. I hit the wrong button there. That was a bad button with my other hand. Let me go see if I can find that. Probably won't ever be able to find that. So I have 10 million lectures here. What section was that? That was, oh boy, it's gonna be hard to find. Lecture homework. I don't even remember. All right, I'm gonna probably have to end it. Right there. Oh, there. Okay, unit. Okay, maybe it's here. Unit 1. Lecture homework 6. Oh, we found it. All right. So, right. Do you see that? So there it is. So it's going to have the same total 180 that it did when it was a rectangle. It's just been shifted. There we go.